Hey guys, this is David Jelks from Factor 3 Fitness, and I want to actually just introduce you to reintroduce you to the Swiss ball. I met it quite a few years ago, I guess probably over 20 years ago when it first kind of arrived in one of the facilities I was working at. And I didn't really have much use for it. I think back then we called it a physio ball. So of course that, I assume you had to be injured to use it. What I'm finding, of course, now, I've used this for many, many years now in my practice, is that it actually using things like this really diminishes injury because it actually it works with something that we call proprioception. And proprioception just refers to the messaging between the joints and, of course, the nervous system. And it's really about coordinating all the subtle aspects of movement patterns. And we really need that feedback mechanism between the joints, of course, and the joints and the nervous system, because we want that well kind of tuned coordination. So there's rotation that's required. There's rotation around the joints, rotation around the axis. There's the timing between antagonist and agonistic muscles. We want muscles to fire in a certain pattern around the joints just to create a great stability. So there's a lot of factors to think about when you're training. So. I really incorporate this quite a bit into my training and into all the stuff I do with my clients, because we really want to force the core musculature to really have to fire it, to force it in. When you're using benches and machines, of course, they diminish the need for that proprioception, because if you're using a machine, of course, it guides itself. You have a fixated track to run on, so there's no lateral instability. Right, so you're missing a bit of that information because the machine is doing it for you. If you're using a bench, of course, it's a bit more unstable than a machine, of course, but still the bench is quite solid, and you can really anchor yourself well to produce a lot of force. And the Swiss ball is just a really great tool to kind of bring in all the little pieces that don't get addressed by using machines or by using a flat bench. And again, one of my favorite exercises on this, of course, or the favorite type of training I like doing on this, is anything trunk-based, abdominal-based. So we can play around with it quite a bit. And I like actually really challenging myself, and because I've been a bodybuilder and powerlifter for years, I got involved in martial arts and got involved in yoga and Pilates because I found I couldn't move very well. I could produce a lot of force in a straight line, but that was about it. So really embracing things like yoga, really embracing things like Pilates and martial arts and Qigong and all these beautiful forms of movement, I realized that I'm more physically self-expressive. I can do more things. I'm more dynamic because I really incorporate a whole various aspect of movement into my training. Yes, I love the strength training. I love the power, and I love the physical force we can produce through this style of training. But this is actually a lot of fun. And it's kind of cool. All right. So what we're going to do today is a Swiss Ball Pike. Now, when you get on the ball, this is a 65 centimeter ball. I'm 6 feet tall, so this works for me. Now, this is a core-based exercise. One of the challenges, of course, when we're doing this type of work is that our wrist needs to be flexible enough to be able to put my wrist flat down on the floor. Because of the society that we spend so much time on a computer keypad, our wrist has a tendency to be bent in flexion all the time, so this is quite an exaggerated extension pattern. So for a lot of people, this could be challenging. So make sure you stretch your wrist out well before you do this. Secondly, I'm going to put the ball here on my shins, and I'm going to go into a pike position, which means I'm just going to push my hips up in the air. Now, it's interesting, the thought process, of course, people try to bring the ball forward, but I'm actually not doing anything with the ball at all. My intention is to pull up through my pelvic floor, so if I tighten the bladder and rectal muscles, it'll fire my lower abdominal wall and get my glutes active and center the body's energy reach around my sacrum, which is my mechanical center of gravity. So from here, I'm going to simply anchor and then lift my tailbone up. So I initiate it from my tailbone, not from the ball. The balls are going to be dragged along passively as a part of the exercise. And I'm going to come up and up, keep pushing those hips up as high as I can go. Now I've got some really good extension here. Blood's rushing to my head. Now if I want to challenge this even more, right, lots of core bracing here. My feet are quite relaxed. I'm going to come up into a straight leg position, bring it down, reset my position again, and up, and down, and reset. So what's great about activities like this is they really force thousands of little tiny reactions inside the joints, which really lend itself to producing power. So for those of you that are very strength focused and more linear in a lot of your training, the addition of Swiss ball type activities, any core based activity that offers lots of instability, forces you really to think about it, you'll find it'll lend tremendous amount of benefit to your general strength training, diminish the risk of injury, and make you a much more well-rounded athlete. It's fun to have the strength, it's fun to have the mass, but it's really a bit of fun to move in ways that are very, very unsuspected to the average person. So make sure you practice this well. Wear a crash helmet if necessary, and enjoy the pike. Explore the Swiss ball. It's such a great modality to add into your practice.